Hello everyone, it's Cam from Arsenal Theory here with going to do a breakdown or a preview of the Man City versus Arsenal big game tomorrow. Quite looking forward to it. I'm lying. I'm not really looking forward to it at all. I'm quite nervous about the whole thing. But actually, firstly, before I get into anything, I want to say is a happy birthday to my dad, who's 91 today. So 91 not out. That's pretty good going in my book. And actually, my dad is kind of tied in to one of the best sort of footballing memories I ever had. And it's on a similar sort of vibe to potentially what could happen tomorrow, really. And that is when Arsenal won the league at Anfield in May '89. And I don't really remember watching the game so much or the specific things that happened apart from the end. But I just remember being sat in front of the telly. And my dad was sat on the sofa behind, and I was sat right up on the telly. He was kind of reading the paper. He's not really into football. Wasn't really into football, to be honest. But he always let me watch it, which was nice of him. And I had my Arsenal hat on and scarf. And I just kind of remember sort of the end. I remember the end and kind of going nuts. And what was really cool about the whole thing was my next door neighbour was a big Liverpool fan. And so, I mean, it was just fantastic. I just got to laud it for a long, long time. And I do feel, though, that Arsenal as a club used up a lot of luck that day, which has kind of deserted us for certain periods since then. But can the impossible happen again? It feels like an impossible job tomorrow, going up to the Etihad. I was having a look earlier on, and Arteta has played Man City 8 times since taking over as Arsenal. We've lost 7 and won 1. And the one game we won was in the FA Cup when we went on to actually win the Cup. So our record against City is as bad as it can get. And that's whether it's home or away as well. It doesn't seem to make much of a difference, really. Deep down, I suspect it's going to be a similar kind of outcome tomorrow. I'm not that confident. I think it'll probably be a comfortable 3-0, maybe a 3-1 to City. We look quite out of sorts at the moment. However, I'm really happy to be proved wrong, and I wanted to kind of go through some scenarios and some kind of keys to victory, really, that we're going to have to implement and pull off tomorrow to get anything out of the game. And I think the number one issue that we need to resolve ASAP is the individual errors that we're making. We just seem to keep doing it since that Liverpool second half. We've just keep shooting ourselves in the foot, and I don't really understand why. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about pulling Rob Holding out of the team. Oddly enough, he's not been any of the people that have done those individual errors. It's been Zinchenko against Trent in the Liverpool game. You've got Partey against West Ham. Tierney kind of went to bit of sleep as well on the Jared Bowen incident in the West Ham game as well. Partey against Southampton. Ramsdale, just terrible error against Southampton. And I think Odegaard lost the ball as well on the Southampton second goal. So we're just making all these errors everywhere. And these are against teams that we're in good positions against, apart from Southampton going down really early. But you make those, even without making those errors, it's going to be tough against City. But if we start kind of doing that kind of stuff, then it's just going to be game over, really. And we have a history of making individual mistakes against City. And one thing I kind of feel like I've spotted, and other people have mentioned it as well, is we seem to be a very emotional team. For example, you look at Haaland misses a chance. He kind of laughs about it because he knows he's going to get another one like in 5 minutes. When Jesus misses a chance, which is quite a lot the other night, he looks distraught. Like this is the worst thing that's ever happened. He doesn't look like someone that's like, oh well, no worries, I'll just bury the next one. And I see like the faces sometimes that like Zinchenko pulls, and it's just, I feel like maybe they're too emotionally invested in certain situations, and it's causing problems and it's causing anxiety throughout the team. So if we're to get anything tomorrow, I know it's a really obvious thing to say, but it's the truth, is don't cock it up, basically. Don't give them any goals. So that's the first thing. I think we're going to need a big old slice of luck. We've never really had any great decisions, I feel, against City. It feels like the refs have always kind of given them what they needed or what they wanted whenever they kind of wanted it. So maybe we can redress some of that tomorrow. City are going to be doing all the dark arts. All the dirty tactics are going to be coming out tomorrow. The tactical fouls, the time wasting if they go up or whatever. Refs looking one way, Rodri sticks a leg out while he's not looking and gets away with it. He did that against Bayern a couple of times. Like, the guy should have been booked. So we need to be aware of that. And I think pointing that out to the ref as well when it happens, really kind of vocalise it. Because otherwise they're just gonna have their way with us, and we can't allow that to happen, really. So you never know, we might get a red card from City. Maybe, someone's going through on goal, Rodri sticks a leg out and doesn't get away with it this time. Maybe Haaland pulls a hamstring or something. Not that I wish anyone to get injured or anything, but those are the kind of things we're sort of banking on, really, in terms of an outcome of, okay, no craziness happens, no weird decisions or anything like that, and it's just really down to who plays better on the night. Then I think I don't think you're going to be able to contain City. So we need to impose what we do well, and we need to be extremely efficient in front of goal. And I feel like, again against Southampton, I think we had like 25 shots or something, but only I think 5 were on target or 8 were on target. So that needs to be improved. We don't necessarily, it feels like a lot of the time we're waiting for the perfect opportunity to pass the ball into the net. And I think, if we're getting an opportunity, a chance to get a realistic shot on goal, not like Thomas Partey from like 40 yards out, then I think we need to take it. We really do need to take it. So I'd like us to, when we start the game, we really don't want City taking an early lead. That's just going to be like the worst thing ever. So we need to just keep it contained in the first kind of 5-10 minutes. I can't imagine the crowd's going to be that intimidating to the players, especially having been to Anfield. So that shouldn't be playing on their minds. And I think if we can kind of go the first sort of 15-20 minutes, keep things quite tight, start get into a rhythm early on, then that will breed some confidence. City won't necessarily start panicking at all or anything, because they'll be very confident in what they want to do, which could actually work in our favour. Because if they just go 100 for us from the start, then it could be game over within 10 minutes. Realistically, it could happen. I hope not, but it could. So I'd like to see us keep it tight. First 15-20 minutes, set plays. When was the last time we scored from like a corner or like a free kick in or something like that? Let's make the most of those kinds of situations, and maybe we can pull an upset off. I don't think he's going to change the team in terms of the defence. There's a few options. Do you move Ben White to centre back and put Tierney on the right and Zinchenko on the left, or the other way round? Do you even play Saka at right back and bring Ben White into centre back, and then that allows you to bring Trossard in on the right? I would really like to see Trossard start this game. If there's any way to kind of get him into that starting lineup, to be honest, even at the expense of Jesus, I would probably be very tempted to do it, because he's so efficient as a player, and he just seems to always make, more often than not, the right decisions, and he rarely misses the target as well. He knows where the goal is. And when you have a player like that in a game like this, I just don't see the point of waiting to bring him off the bench. Let's just start him, and then bring Jesus off the bench. If the game's starting to go crazy in the last 25-30 minutes, what a great opportunity to bring Jesus on. City piling forward, bring Jesus on, we can do some counter-attacking stuff. However, I don't think Mikel's going to do any of that. I think he'll go back to the teams that played against Liverpool and West Ham, assuming Xhaka is fit. Mikel did say today that he's still potentially a doubt. I think he'll play. But if he doesn't, then I mean, Fabio Vieira really didn't have a good game. But then he was put into a real terrible situation with what Ramsdale did. So we'll see on that. In terms of the City, I think their personnel, I know Ake was kind of got pulled up with a hamstring injury against Bayern. Now, typically, if you have a hamstring injury, you're kind of done for a bit. But he did walk off, so maybe it was just very, very precautionary. Maybe he'd kind of felt something before the game, and Pep might have said, "Hey, look, if you just feel a twinge or whatever, just put your hand up and we'll take you off." So I fully expect City to be at more or less full strength for tomorrow. So we're going to have a plan for Haaland and Grealish. I think the easiest way to deal with Haaland is probably just to stop the ball getting to him. I was thinking about the old days, like what would George Graham have done in this kind of situation, or Arsene Wenger have done in this kind of situation? And I don't know if Wenger ever did it, but I know George Graham would sometimes just man mark a player. But typically, I think you would do that if that's like a midfielder. Really, I don't know if he ever did that against an actual striker. But he'd have Keown essentially, who would just sit on a player. But again, that's probably not going to work with Haaland, but it might necessarily work with Grealish. But we don't really have a player in the squad who I think is kind of capable of doing that, really. I suppose the closest would be El Neni. But who is he going to sit on? De Bruyne? I mean, you've still got Mahrez to deal with. You've got Grealish to deal with. There's another Gundogan. I mean, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Gundogan. Bloody hell. Bernardo Silva. Jeez. So there's just so much talent there. We've just got to hope the games have caught up with them, really. So I'm not looking forward to it. It is, but you know what? These are the games that you want to be involved in, and I suppose as a fan, maybe I need to flip my thinking from, tomorrow's a day where we lose the league, to, do you know what? Tomorrow could be the day that the start of winning it. Because if we do go there and get a result, if you gave me a point now, I would take it. Completely 100%, I would take a point right now. I think a draw tomorrow would be a fantastic result. But I don't think that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. So I'll have to watch it. It's going to be. I'd like this be a bit more of a positive video, but I'm not seeing many kind of paths. I'm seeing paths to victory, but they kind of involve things that are out of our control, really. Like I said, dodgy refereeing decision, City having a moment of madness, and a player doing something silly and getting sent off, or whatever it is. I don't know if Ederson is due a Rick anytime soon. I can't seem to recall one recently. I know Alisson had one a few months ago. Maybe De Gea's had one, Ramsdale's had one. Maybe it's Ederson's turn tomorrow. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'd definitely take a point now. And that's it really. I was looking at some of the other stats involved, but the one that just sticks out is Arteta's played them 8 times and lost once. Won once, lost the other 7. So you could say we're due a win. Eventually, I'm assuming at some point we are going to beat Man City again. Why not start tomorrow? There's also the intriguing angle actually that Zinchenko and Jesus, obviously ex-City players. And so, as much as I was saying about dropping Jesus to bring Trossard in, do you play Jesus because he's going to really want to put it over his former club? But again, I worry about that he's going to get too snatchy on his chances and just too emotional about the situation, because that's how he's looked. That's how he's looked the last kind of, definitely against Southampton. So, I don't know. maybe there'll be a Smith Rowe masterclass. One thing I nearly forgot actually. Yeah, I've kind of realised this earlier on. In the last couple of seasons, there have been moments where we've not been great, and then Arteta's been forced into a change. Not one he wanted to make, but literally been forced into doing it. And it's kind of spurned a new sort of formation, and the results have, picked up incredibly. I mean, last season that happened with Smith Rowe coming into the team, and it really made a difference. We beat Chelsea, and but he was kind of forced into doing it due to injuries and suspensions and things like that. Same with when Nketiah came in last season. Lacazette was just shit. It was just shit. But he kept playing him, and then eventually he had to change it. And oh wow, we actually had a runner up front. It brought Martinelli into the game more. It really, really made a difference. And so, with this Rob Holding situation, maybe he will change it. I don't think he will, but maybe he does. And typically, when he's been forced into a change, there have been examples where, oh wow, it's actually worked really, really well. So, fingers crossed. I'd love to see Smith Rowe. If he's ready, I'd love to see Smith Rowe do something tomorrow. It's a big ask though. I mean, he hasn't played hardly any football at all. So to come in against City and do something, but be so good for his confidence and make such a difference for the rest of the run in. But hey ho, there we go. I don't know if I'll do a post match video tomorrow. Depends how late it finishes with injury time and stuff. But thanks for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe, and come on the Gooners, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye bye.